Welcome back to Online Darts. We are here in Tamworth, Matt, for another announcement, part of PDC in the community, Darts on Your Doorstep, another great thing that you're doing in the community.
Yeah, we're really excited about this. It's something that perhaps people wouldn't immediately associate with the PDC, but we're working with our new partner, Smart Energy, and we're going to look to try to do what we've done behind me now in lots of different places all around the country. You know, we know that there's a huge appetite for grassroots darts. There's a lot of different people playing from all sorts of different backgrounds, and unfortunately, a lot of the time, the facilities and the equipment that they need to play on is either old or not there. You know, so we're able to work with Winmau, we're able to work with Smart Energy UK, and we will put, we will put these facilities in place for deserving clubs like here, Drayton Manor Cricket and Social Clubs, fantastic community facility, and we're really excited. I think what you can see behind us, those three hockeys look really smart, and I'm sure their darts team will love playing on them.
Yeah, I'll put the pictures on when we edit this so I can see the before and after, but it really is a massive project, and yet this is going nationwide.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. You know, we're starting nationwide, and then we'll see where it ends up, because, you know, it's not just here in the UK, but all around the world there's a need for investment in grassroots darts. So we're happy to be a part of it, and really excited to see where it takes us.
To show as well that the PDC just don't cater for the elite, because that's been labelled sometimes where this is going proper grassroots.
Do you know what? When I started, the PDC was casually known as Phil's Darts Club, because it was just basically Phil Taylor and a few mates turning up and winning a few tournaments or playing a few tournaments every month. But we're totally different to that now. You know, we've got a whole structure in place. We've got a really deep pyramid. We've got really wide appeal to players from all sorts of different backgrounds, whether it's, you know, country, age, gender, whatever. You know, we're trying to appeal to everybody. We're not there yet, but we're certainly opening some doors and moving in the right direction. Yeah,
the launch of PDC in the community is a real step forward, along with Bullseye Maths and everything like this. It's really targeting youngsters in schools and real amateurs of this game.
Yeah, and I think what the modern game's taught us is that the game has a wider appeal to people who have not played the game before. Perhaps initially darts fans were people who played the game and that was it, but now we're appealing to casual sports fans and people who maybe don't follow other sports. So the step for them is, rather than to start by playing darts and then become fans, these people are darts fans who are then becoming players, which is great, because the more participation there is in the game, the bigger it's going to get.
It's quite an arse about face, so to speak, compared to other sports.
It is, yeah, it's flipped completely on its head, you know, but that's because it started quite small and it's now quite big. You know, so it's literally the wrong way round, if you like, but that's purely because of history, and one thing we can't change, as you know, is history.
When you first started with the PC and you were talking there, did you ever feel that it would go this way, where it would be this real low down?
I always wanted it to. You know, it was, as I say, one of the common accusations was, oh, you know, you're the top 16, you're the top 32, and that's it, you don't cater for anybody else. But it doesn't take a genius to work out that isn't a recipe for growth. You know, that's very much a closed shop. That's very much it doesn't incentivise anybody to particularly get involved, because they don't think that the opportunities are there for them. So by opening new pathways and creating new opportunities, it's only going to benefit the sport in terms of making it bigger and more wide-reaching.
In terms of like the Bullseye Maths as well, that sort of goes hand in hand with the community stuff, that's a real step forward, getting kids to enjoy maths in a sporting context as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the bigger challenge is probably getting them to enjoy maths rather than darts. But, you know, as for someone who did enjoy maths at school, you know, it's something that has to be brought to life a little bit sometimes, you know, and darts can certainly do that. The way it's delivered is fantastic at the moment. Our biggest challenge is how we can roll it out. You know, at the moment we've only got one guy, the guy who invented darts, and he deserves a shout out, Gary Horsley, fantastic guy, based in Nottingham. He delivers Bullseye Maths as a one-man band, really. And we're working with him as to how we can roll that out, because in order for it to grow, it's going to need to really reach a lot more kids than it's doing at the moment.
You might not be able to answer this, but Dev's done his dartboard maths as well. I've seen the PDP and kind of endorsed that as well. Is there a way that these two can work together?
Maybe,
because there seems great fundamental tools for kids.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's not the sort of thing you want competition on, because ultimately they all have the same goal, so everyone needs to work together on it. So, yeah, look, we work with Devon across a couple of different other things, and we're open-minded as to anything that can get more people involved in darts.
And PDC in the community, what's next then? What other community things have you got lined signed up and things like that?
Well, first thing we wanted to do was a fact-finding mission. So when we launched, we wanted to get venues to sign up and tell us what they were about. How many players, how many ockeys, how often they played, where they were, who they played against, all that sort of thing. So we put that call out, and we got over 300 venues respond, not just in the UK, but worldwide. So that was probably a little bit more than we expected. We didn't necessarily think it was going to be that well received. So for us to get that number of venues was great. You know, we've gone out to venues, some venues with further questions. You know, there's actually some venues out there we weren't aware of that have got really good setups. You know, 8 boards plus and big dedicated spaces to darts. So how can we work with those venues to create more darts, more darts environments for people? So we'll be looking at that. We'll be looking at youth initiatives. We'll be looking at initiatives to get people into the sport. We'll be looking at initiatives to get people who currently play the sport and don't quite know how far they can go themselves, to give them the chance to really push themselves, and we'll see where it takes us.
I might be jumping the gun here, but something you just said there made me think, is this the first step of you perhaps taking like the UK Open qualifying in-house as well with these bigger venues?
Yeah, it's not so much taking it in-house, it's just looking at how it can be expanded, We've worked with Riley's for a number of years. They're a good partner. They've got 11 venues that they look to use for UK Open qualifiers, but it doesn't cover every corner of the UK. So where else can we find?
Obviously, since we've last spoken as well, the World Series dates have been announced. That one that you were kind of hoping wasn't on the list. Is that now dead, or is there still a chance?
It's not dead. Nothing's ever dead. It's just maybe things take a long time. I saw a couple of comments about the World Series announcement, and people were saying like, really disappointing or whatever. I don't know what people think. It's like number one is you don't just put a pin in a map and do a World Series event there. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Number two is there has to be a commercial value to go into a country, whether that's participation, whether that's a broadcaster, whether that's a sponsor, whether that's tickets, whatever it is. There has to be a reason to go to a country, and you don't just pick a country because somebody thinks it's a bit different. Yes, we'd like to do more countries, we'd like to do different countries, and we are talking to plenty of places. But these things take time and they take investment, and we've made decisions in the past where we've gone into certain markets without enough local support, and it hasn't worked. If you look at World Series events that have only had 1 or 2 iterations in those countries, sometimes they've been for other genuine reasons, but sometimes they've been because we just haven't had the local boots on the ground to help us. We don't have an office in every corner of the world, so we need to have local partners who can work with us to put these events on. And these things take time to deliver.
Massive announcement from you guys. You teased it and it lived up to expectation. The return of the Winmau World Masters. I know it's obviously with you guys now. How long have you been talking to Winmau about that, and how long has this taken to get here?
That was part of our first ever conversation with Vince Bluck when we came to talking about the equipment supply deal, because you could tell what an attachment not only the Bluck family but the Winmau brand had to the Winmau World Masters going back many years, and it was such an iconic brand. Again, harking back to when I started in darts, there was the Lakeside and there was the Masters, and they were the two kind of rival events at the time, and the Masters had major prestige, and you only have to look at the list of winners to see that. Now obviously the event is still going in its latest guise under the WDF, and we respect that. However, it's not called the Winmau World Masters, and we are now working with Winmau to bring back as much of that original concept as we can to deliver what we think is a really iconic piece of darts heritage back to a modern audience. It's going to have big prize money, it's going to have a lot of places for players from affiliate tours and secondary tours in the preliminary rounds. It's going to have the format and the structure as close as is practical to mirror of the tournament from years ago. And it's interesting because you say that the tournament, the announcement lived up to expectations, and a lot of really big darts fans who we see on social media said the same thing. But then you saw a lot of people, which was quite interesting, who maybe only started following darts in the last couple of years.
We said the same.
Who just thought, what is this? I don't even know anything about it. But that's okay, because to them it's just another tournament, and that's fine as long as they enjoy it. But we know that people who've been following darts for a long time, who remember the old days of the Winmau World Masters, will really appreciate the opportunity to see the brand again.
Yeah, obviously the format is key to this, isn't it? It's another set play tournament, but it's the best of three. It's cutthroat.
Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah.
Was there a temptation to stick everyone in that prelim, like the Winmau? I know.
Not really. Look, it's still although we brought back as much as we can from the past, but it still has to fit within our.
That's what I said. Was there a temptation?
Structure? Yeah, it wasn't. It wouldn't have been practical to do that realistically. It's got to have credibility.
No, I understand that.
To bring back players who've maybe been retired a long while from the pro game would have been a challenge.
Yeah, no, or even just stick like the 24 into the prelim as well, and then see if we come. That would have been.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but again,
I understand.
People have bought tickets. Broadcasters bought them.
Yeah, I understand that side of it.
Yeah.
Any temptation to bring back other formats like that? I know we've spoken about another one that was always said the same as the Winmau Masters, the News of the World format, a best of three all the way through. Is that something that's being looked at?
At the moment, I mean, if you look at this isn't a new tournament for us. This is an evolution of an existing tournament.
Yeah.
If you look at our calendar, there isn't the scope at the moment to really do much with the calendar. The volume of events is large, and the amount of downtime that there is small. So I think at the moment we kind of are where we are in terms of volume.
No, it was really interesting. I loved what you did with that.
Yeah.
And anything else we can look forward to in 2025, or is that because the calendar's out and this was something wasn't expected?
No, we're not. We haven't got any more tricks up our sleeve necessarily for 2025 at the moment.
At the moment, I like the little.
You can never rule anything out, can you?
No, 100%. And look, it's a mad time for darts at the moment. We've seen Mike De Decker win for the first time. Richie Edhouse win for the first time.
Amazing.
This is like an unprecedented thing at the moment.
It is. It just shows the strength in depth that the system works, doesn't it? Some of the top boys are not firing, and that's opened the door for people who've been dedicated to the Pro Tour to step up and take their opportunities. And I think it's not just throwing the 100 average because we know that everybody can do that. It's doing it in front of thousands of people and TV cameras that's making the difference. Seeing people who have had a bit of TV achievement but nothing major go up there and delivering on that level, 5-6 games over a week or a weekend is phenomenal.
Obviously, a couple of bits like the Premier League's being talked about a lot now. I'm not going to ask you for names or anything stupid like that, but people were asking for clarification. Is the top four still a guarantee? That hasn't.
The top four, yeah.
Because obviously now your decision when you sit down for that board meeting is massive decisions.
And there's this thing about if you win a TV major, as some people call them, not us, but as some people call them, that is a myth, and it always pretty much has been a myth.
Yeah.
Also, as I've said before, we've got 11 majors, as people call them, and even if we went back to 10 players, that's still not 11.
No,
so it doesn't work like that. We'll look at it, and I have to say at the moment it is wide open.
I don't disagree.
There could be somebody in next year's Premier League who we've not even thought about at the moment.
No, I don't disagree.
There's a lot of people who maybe think they're guaranteed a spot who haven't done anything to justify it this year, and there's a lot of people who maybe haven't done anything so far this year who will go on over the next 3 events to do something that justifies it. So I wouldn't even bother if I was on social media a lot, which I'm definitely not. I would not even bother writing a list of 8 names at the moment.
No, I agree. It's wide open, but like you say, there will be people that think they've done enough. This could be a real new, apart from obviously the top 4, and Luke's not in there at the moment as defending champion, but there's arguably 3 spots up for grabs, and there could be some
at least
people that think they've done enough, but they haven't done enough, and this is a real statement of the growth, like we said earlier, of the PDC
and the evolution of it. And do you know what? Sometimes people do need a year off to come back again.
Yeah.
Maybe either from a motivation point of view, or from a workload point of view, or just naturally from from the way that people's careers go up and down. Sometimes people do need a little bit of time out of the limelight to work their way back into it.
Are we going into uncharted territory in darts now? The fact that we've got so many winners, the strength in depth. We've seen Wesley Placia, who finished second on the Challenge Tour, win a Pro Tour. Is this like uncharted territories for the strength in depth?
It is, but it's not an accident. I think this is a result of the system that's been in place for the last decade now. And I've said to you 1,000 times, and plenty of other people, whenever you put something in place, you have to give it time to work. The people coming through the development tour, through the Challenge Tour, through affiliate tours, these things take time, but they do happen. Damon Hetter's in the top 10 of the world. Until he won in Brisbane a few years ago, nobody knew who he was.
I agree.
And he's now in the top 10. He's now in the top 10 of the world. as you say, Plays is doing phenomenally well on the Challenge Tour, won a Pro Tour event. The route is in, the structure is in place, and this goes back to what we talked about here with PDC in the community and grassroots darts. The route is in place for you now, from grassroots level, to become a world champion. That Rob Cross path, which at the time everybody said, oh, what a fluke that was, it was his first year and blah, blah, blah. There could be plenty of people following that path. I'm not saying they're all going to become world champions.
I understand what you...
But to go and make a proper living from the game, those routes are in place.
You've always said the PDC are a promotional company, but this feels like for the first time now, are you almost gone from that governing into a governing body with all these...
No, and we have to be careful not to differentiate. I know what you mean, but you're looking at it from the perspective of a governing body being all-encompassing. And we are more all-encompassing now, but our governing body, our governance, is the responsibility of the DRA. Our anti-doping, our integrity issues, our welfare and education, which they do with the PDPA, all of that stuff. That's the real nuts and bolts of a governing body, and that is all delivered by the DRA. Now, in some sports, that's again a result of the way the relationship between us and the DRA works. In some sports, the governing body would deliver some of those initiatives, but again, only because of historical matters. We're in a position at the PDC where, because of the growth that we've had in recent years, we are able to deliver a lot of these initiatives now, and it would be wasteful of us not to take advantage of that opportunity to do so, because we wouldn't be doing the sport a service that it deserves if we didn't work to grow it on all levels.
Last one before I let you go, Grand Slam, obviously draws happening tonight. By the way, when we're recording this, the draw hasn't been done yet.
Not been done.
No. Is there any changes to the format of the Grand Slam, as in when you come out of the pots? Because that's always been up on social media and no one's heard anything.
There's no changes, because number 1 and number 2 seed, that needs to be preserved. Whether you win or come runner-up in the group's just a mechanism to get into the last 16. If you're the number 1 seed, you should not play the number 2 seed before the final, because that's the way the seeding works.
Some people would say, though, that's protecting the seed twice. If they don't top the group, then they've lost that.
I don't think so, because you don't have to top the group. You only have to come in the top 2 of the group. It's arguable either way. It's arguable either way, but our position, and we have to take a position on it. And our position is that 1 and 2. In a pure bracket system, 1 and 2 should be in the final. 1, 2, 3, and 4 should be in the semi-finals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 should be in the quarterfinals. So we have to protect that because that is the fairest system, we believe.
No, that's great. I say, because people were asking, we hadn't heard anything, so I said I'd ask.
The other argument is valid, is more than valid, but ultimately we have to take a position, and that's our position on it.
Matt, it's an absolute pleasure catching up with you here for this great community event. Thank you very much, as always.
Thanks a lot.